Okay, so last week we did these 4 pages here using the Fall Farmhouse collection from Simple Stories. And this week we are going to use the leftovers from this collection that we did last week, and we are going to make 4 pocket pages using the leftovers. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off by just unpacking all of our embellishments here. So we're going to take what's left. So we've got some enamel dots, we've got all of our journaling cards. So with my journaling cards, what I like to do is I like to separate them into like vertical and horizontal format, so we kind of see what we have to work with. Obviously the 4x4 are square, so then our 3x4 and our 4x6 journaling cards, we're gonna put them out in front of us in the same orientation that they would be on in our pockets. So we can that sort of helps us to decide, along with our pictures, what pockets, like what design for the pocket page protector we're going to use. So here I'm just taking all of our leftover die cuts and I'm placing them in front of us as well. And we also are going to have some of the leftover chipboard and the 12x12 sticker sheet from last week's collection kit. Okay, so last time we made pocket pages, we used this collection and made those 2 pages. So as you know, for my 2012 pocket page album, I want to do it in order because you always use the back side of your previous layout to make your next set of pages. So I've included the last set of pages I worked on in 2012. So we're going to use the back side of that layout here that's on screen as our first page in our layout. So now I need to go and pick the other design that I want to use on the other side to make this double layout. So the back side of our last layout that we did here is the Project Life page number 1 design, and then the new page that I picked to go on the right side of this double layout would be page protector number 4. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my journaling cards and I'm going to kind of just play around with them and put them in various places. And at this point, I'm not scared to put like a smaller journaling card on a bigger spot, like let's say a 3x4 or a 4x4 journaling card on a 4x6 spot, because I could easily create a layer with that and use that as like a cluster opportunity or something like that. So here, these 2x2 squares, I'm cutting them apart. I want to incorporate that wood grain that you see on that 4x6 vertical journaling card with the writing, and I want to incorporate that into a couple smaller 2x2 squares here. So I'm cutting those out, and that there's 4 squares that end up with letters. I want to use that on one of these layouts as well. The letters spell fall in the 2x2 squares there. So for this layout here, what I'm really looking for is some wood grain. I want to tie in some of the elements on this page with that wood grain pattern. Now, if you find that the pockets, like when you slide things in, they feel a little bit too tight, I recommend just trimming them down. Sometimes you end up puckering the page protector when it's too tight, and it just creates a weird shine because the page protector kind of puckers in that one spot. Okay, so here on this 4x6 journaling area, I just trimmed down a 4x4 journaling card that had like that had an image on it that I didn't want, and I layered it behind that wood grain pumpkin trimmed down 4x4 journaling card. I turned it down to, I believe, about a 3x3 inch, and then I'm just going to cluster around that with some embellishments a little bit later on. Okay, so as I'm working, I do like to tuck in all of my things that I'm not working on because they slide around on the page all the time. So I originally was going to put a 4x6 photo up here, and I trimmed it down. I decided to go with a 3x5 photo area instead. You can easily trim down a 4x6 photo to a 3x5 photo size, and I just figured that if I did that on that spot, I can incorporate some of the background from the back side of that 4x6 journaling card, and then I could I could cluster some embellishments in that 4x6 photo area. Okay, so this top here, I just trimmed down this 4x6 photo just so I could see some of the background cardstock pattern paper, as a mat. And here again, I took the back side of a journaling card, trimmed it down to, I guess it would be a 3.75 by 5.75, and then I trimmed this photo down to a 3.5 by 5.5. So each mat is only going to be like a 1/4 inch mat. And then what I did here is every time I put something back inside the pocket that has a backside from a different layout, I try to stick them together, that way they don't slide around, and then you see the edges of the backside of whatever's on the backside of this pocket. So sometimes you'll notice too that they get a little bit tighter because one side you maybe did the embellishments and everything like that, but then the other side you're also going to add embellishments, and over time they are just going to get thicker and thicker. Okay, so now that I've kind of glued everything down or adhered everything down, I'm going to go back now and I'm just going to create my cluster. So I'm just going to kind of have a look at things and work on things like one piece at a time. And a little helpful thing, and I mean, I don't really do that because there's not a lot of inspiration on like Instagram or Facebook or on the websites yet for these various companies, but by the time you get around to doing these, if you're the kind of person that looks online for inspiration for a lot of these things, what I would recommend doing is looking online at cards that are made with these collection kits. So a lot of times card makers will make like the front of a 4 1/4 by 5.5 card using piece embellishments and various pieces of a collection to make a card front. And a card front, which is 4.25 by 5.5 inches typically, would easily fit into a 4x6 photo area. So it's almost as if you could say that like a 4x6 pocket page area is like the front of a card. So you can definitely find a lot of inspiration for pocket pages from card makers. Okay, so there's just some extra inspiration to find online that way, because you are kind of working with a 4x6 or smaller area typically at a time. Now you can get pocket pages that are like 6 by 6 inches. I mean, you can get them in different sizes and configurations like that. There's a lot more of them now. You can even actually get Project Life page protectors that are actually a full 12 by 12 inches. Now, if you really don't like the concept of pocket pages and using these kind of page protectors, you can still do this format on a 12 by 12 like white sheet of cardstock as a base and put these cards on your 12 by 12 white piece of cardstock and still do the same concept even though you're not really using them in a pocket. Okay, so for this 4x6 journaling card here, I did say that I was going to embellish it. So what I did is I added that sticker, I popped it up with that rubber boot with the flowers, and then I added a chipboard pumpkin to it. I finished it off with some enamel dots just to surround that cluster. Okay, so now we're going to work on our page 3 and 4. So our second double layout. Okay, so here I want this I chose to go with design F as my next layout, because I wanted to have a lot of opportunities in this layout to put pictures. So I have a lot of pictures to work with. So I went with this orientation for my pockets. Okay. I decided that I wanted to use that middle area to incorporate that the 2x2 squares that say fall, but I didn't want to just take up that whole area without putting some photo opportunities. So I took a 2x3 inch photo area. I'm going to layer it behind one of those letters, and here I wanted to incorporate this flower design. So I'm going to use it as a mat behind my 2x3 photo area, and I'm also going to use it as my 3x4 background for the letters A and L, just to tie things in together really nicely with that background for that 2x3 photo area. Okay, so the reason why I'm incorporating that flower background is because I incorporated it on the other page behind that 3x3 photo area, and I wanted to sort of tie the pages in together, and I just figured to tie the pages in together I could use that pattern paper. And with the whole theme of tying things in together, I decided to take this like checkerboard pattern that is behind the fall letters and use it as a mat for this 2x3 photo area, which I'm going to put on the left page of this double layout. Okay, so between the pattern paper and that checkerboard paper, I think we've kind of incorporated and tried to match up these two pages. Okay, so now I'm using 3x4 photos just because I have a lot of photos to work with. But if you don't have as many photos and want to sort of still use this design F page protector, instead of doing 2 3x4 photos, you could still do a 4x6 photo and just cut it in half and put it side by side in the page protectors. I know it kind of sounds goofy to do that, but if you look on Pinterest or anything like that, you can see some people that have done that. They've cut up a picture and put it into multiple protector spots, and it actually does look really good, and it does give a special interest to the page. It's not as goofy as it sounds. Okay, so I want to incorporate that flower paper that's on the left page there in the top underneath that 3x4 photo area, and I just want to use that paper to tie in the other page with the left page. So what I did is, this original paper was a 12x12 inch paper from the collection kit, and I had trimmed it down to 4x6 to pack it up. Now I'm trimming it down again to 3x4, and we're just going to use it as a background on all of our pockets that are left. So here now I'm going to be layering here this 2x3 photo and this L 2x2 embellishment. So I don't want them to overlap too much, because I'm going to lose too much of that 2x3 photo area. So what I did is I let it overhang that 3x4 journaling spot, or that journaling paper, and then I just trimmed down what was left. So I made sure it didn't cover too much of these photo areas, and then just trimmed off the excess that was sticking over the edge. I didn't originally plan actually to film pocket pages this week. I had another fall layout planned, another tutorial with a cutting guide, but it was a crazy week. My youngest son ended up catching the flu. He was home a few days from school. He ended up on IV fluids, and he had a kind of a rough time with it. So I've been on mommy duty for a few days this week. A little bit extra attention was needed, and yeah, you don't get a lot of scrapbooking done with a sick kid in the house. So here I am deciding to pop up this L 2x2 square on top of this tag piece. Now I don't want it to get too thick, so I just popped up the top of this tag that isn't underneath of that box, of that L square. So when you see it actually in real life, it does pop off. The tag looks like it's popping off the page, and then the L looks like the L square, it looks like it's popping off of the tag as well, but you don't get that extra thickness because you didn't double it up. Okay, so I trimmed down this tag that had a journaling opportunity on it. I trimmed it down to fit behind this frame, and then we're just gonna kind of use this frame below this 3x4 photo area and create a little journaling opportunity there. And then we're gonna finish it off. We're gonna pop up this word that says cozy, and I felt like the top needed a little bit of something, so I took this this die cut that said together, and we layered it on the top of that. Okay, so because I do my pocket pages, or I try to do them in order, because we need the back side of our previous layout to dictate what's happening on the next layout. I don't have any more fall pages that are needed in 2012 after I made these 4 pages. So what's coming up next in my 2012 album for pocket pages is going to be Halloween. I'm not planning to do Halloween tutorials until next month, so it's going to be a while before we do pocket pages again, if we're going to do them even at all. I'm not sure if you guys want to see more pocket pages or not, so let me know in the comments below if you want to see more pocket pages, or if you have any other things that you'd like to see on the channel. I can kind of walk through other things too, other topics, if you guys don't want to just see cutting guides and multi-page tutorials all the time. So I can definitely walk through some other things. Let me know in the comments below if there's questions you have or anything that you'd love to see on the channel. Even if it is a specific collection kit from a certain company, I'd love to know what you guys want to see. I definitely have a lot of sports pictures that I'm going to need to start using. I'm just waiting for the right kits that I love. I need to do football, I need to do soccer, I need to do some baseball. I do hope to do some of those soon. I need to be inspired by some collection kits or some paper that I want to work with first. So I'm waiting for that. And before you know it, we're going to be getting into like Christmas and Halloween, which I'm super excited about. Christmas and winter layouts are some of my favorite to work with. So we will see you next Friday with another tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.